Hi, my name is Ralph Nyberg. This is a quick tutorial on how to create custom templates in Adobe Connect. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but when you get into the classroom, you spend 5 or 10 minutes kind of getting all the windows arranged the way you like them and things like that. Well, if your operations team gives you permission, so you have to be assigned the appropriate roles, you can create your own custom template in Adobe Connect. Let me just go ahead and show you how to do this. So I'm logged into the LMS here, and what you're looking for is these virtual meetings. So if you don't see this pod, then you don't have the appropriate role to customize this. But if you do, you'll see this pod, and we're going to go ahead and click on the virtual meetings template. All right, I'm go ahead and click on that, and you'll see if I click on search, you'll see that these are the templates that we use for Adobe Connect. Now you'll see there's one marked there, Nyberg class, and that is the template that I use for my particular class. So let me go ahead and open up that one first to give you an idea about how I like to set things up. So when I get into the Nyberg class template, you'll see here that there's an option here to configure the room. Okay, and if I click on configure room, then what it'll do is it'll launch me into Adobe Connect. And so what we'll see here is we'll see my particular classroom. All right, so this is how I like things to appear in Adobe Connect. If you look over here in the top right, you'll see that I have this pre-class, and that's what I set up before class starts. What that does is that creates an index for my students so that, like, if they're watching a recording, they can skip over all of the pre-class. And then it's got the webcam, the timer, the hands up option, and then I have my introduction. Okay, and this is the preferred layout for me when I am teaching a class. So I like the hands up there on the side, webcam top right corner, chat window down the bottom right, and then my Who's Here pod, and then I have the screen for sharing. Now I preload this with the slides for the introductory slides for class, and that allows me just to jump right in and go through my my introduction. Now I clone that personally, and you'll see that I have all these different topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. And the reason I do that is because when I get into class in the morning, I rename all of these. I go to my layouts and I select, manage layouts, and then I rename them according to the subjects that we're going to cover during the course of the day. The reason I do that is so they get nice little index markers when they view a recording. And then I also have one more of interest here, and that would be the lab lunch break. So anytime I go on lab, or we go on break, or we go on lunch, I switch over to this lab lunch break layout. The reason I do that, again, is it creates a nice little hard index point in the recording so they can skip right over it if they're watching the recordings. And that's how I like to have things laid out. Now let me show you how you would create your own. So let me go ahead and close out of that. Come back here, back in the LMS here, back on this find virtual meetings. I'm actually going to go back one more step here. Well, actually, I can do it right from up here. Up in the top right corner, you'll see here that I've got this option to create a virtual meeting. All right. Now, when I select that, okay, let me go ahead and get my screen back up so I can actually see what I'm doing. It gives me some choices. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just call this Nyberg demo. Okay. And you would probably want to put a description on this. Now, some instructors may want to have a different template for each class. For me, I just want everything laid out the way I like it in the morning. I'm willing to do a little bit of work, renaming my views and things like that. So, but for the description, I would say something like, use this for all classes for Ralph Nyberg or something like that. Now, I'm not going to put that in the description because I don't want someone to accidentally use this. Now, you'll see here that there are, it says virtual meeting hosts. Make sure you select Adobe Connect North America and not Great Lakes. Great Lakes has some licenses, but you're going to want the Adobe Connect North America. I can clone from a particular existing template, or I can just go ahead and start from scratch. And then over here on the availability tab, see here where it says availability, if you click on that, you're going to want to change the availability to global McAll. When I first originally created these, the availability was only set to Grand Rapids. I had a global McAll class, and what happened was that it wasn't available to apply to my class, and so you're going to want to add centers and then either have your operations manager, or you're going to have to add it to add global McAll. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do that in this particular case because I don't want this actually to show up, because I don't want someone to accidentally use it. Now you go ahead and click Save. All right, now I have my template. Okay, from there, now I can see the option here to configure the room. Okay, now this is where I can set up my environment exactly as I like it. So if I go ahead and click on Configure Room, again, it'll launch me into Adobe Connect. Okay. From here, I can then just start architecting my classroom exactly how I want it. Okay. So again, this is where we start, right? This is what we normally get. This isn't what I like at all, so I would just start moving things around. But the, for example, I could go into my lecture mode here, and then I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little bit less space here. And actually, let's get me out of the way a little bit. I come up here, and then my hands up. Park that the way I like it. So I like my hands up over here. So, oops. Grab that and bring that up here. Drag her down. Come over a little bit. And come down here into the corner. Anyway, however you like your environment. I'm not here to tell you how to set up your classroom, and then I could, copy that. So I could add, and I could make a copy of lecture, and I could call that, topic 1. That's what I do, and then you can drag that up so it appears right here. And again, I'm not going to go through setting up my template because I already have a template that I use for my particular classes. But most of you guys should know at this point how to manipulate the Adobe Connect environment to your liking. Okay, at that point, all you do is close it, and you now have your template. Okay, so if I go back to the main screen here and say virtual meeting templates, all right, and then I just hit search. Now we see that we have the Nyberg demo template there. Okay, so it exists. Okay, now in this particular case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back into it, and let's see here. This Adobe Connect, Grand Rapids. I kind of want to get rid of this. You'll notice that there's not an option here to remove the particular template. Okay. So when you create the template, it is there. There isn't an obvious, hey, I need to delete this button. So if I come over here and I click on, for example, the details, okay, it just gets me back to configure room. Let me go ahead and click on the edit option for my demo template, and then on availability, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Grand Rapids. Okay, it's not available to any centers. Okay, then I save that, and my update has been successful. Let's go back in and let's see if that in fact removed our template from the view, and it did. Okay, so if I take away all availability, then it'll no longer show up in the search function. Whether it still exists somewhere in the worlds of the LMS, I'm not sure, but that's one way to make sure that it won't show up as a function of the search. Again, this saves me a ton of time every time I teach class. Allows me to just get prepared for the day and not worry about reconfiguring the Adobe Connect environment. So I do recommend that you, if you have the option to do this, or at least talk to your operations manager and find out whether or not you're able to create your own templates. It's going to make your life a lot easier and save you a lot of time for every class every morning. I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for listening.